Y'all ever walked into your own birthday dinner, strutting in your best red dress, hair laid, heels clicking, thinking tonight is the night? Thinking, okay, we've been together 3 years, he's been acting nervous all week, my mama's been hitting, this is it, he's gonna put a ring on it. You sit down, the waiter brings the champagne, the lights dim, and then he stands up. He clears his throat. He reaches into his jacket pocket. Your heart stops. You can feel the tears welling up. You practice your surprised face in the mirror for an hour. He drops to one knee. The whole restaurant goes quiet. People are pulling out their phones. And then he turns. He doesn't turn to you. He turns to the woman sitting next to you. Your best friend, your ride or die, the girl who helped you pick out the damn dress you wearing. And he says, Kendra, will you marry me? Wait. Hold up. I know what you're thinking. Girl, stop lying. Oh, I wish I was. I stood there, holding my birthday cake, watching the candle melt onto my hand while the love of my life proposed to my best friend at my damn party. But here's the thing about rock bottom. It's a solid foundation to build a revenge plot on. Because 10 minutes later, I walked out of that restaurant. 20 minutes later, I walked into a dive bar in Itaewon. And 30 minutes later, I grabbed the finest, most dangerous-looking man in the room by his silk tie, and I kissed him like my life depended on it. I just wanted to make my ex jealous. I just wanted a moment of petty revenge. I didn't know the man I was kissing was Kang Min-ho, the head of the Shadow Dragon Syndicate, the Mafia king of Seoul. And I definitely didn't know that one kiss was gonna start a war. Let me introduce myself before I tell you how I ended up in the back of a bulletproof Mercedes with a gangster. My name is Tiana Renee Johnson, and I am not the girl you mess with. I grew up in West Baltimore. You know what they say about Be More. It teaches you two things, hustle and loyalty. My daddy drove a city bus for 30 years. My mama was a nurse who worked double shifts, so I wouldn't have to worry about nothing but my grades. Tiana, she'd say, braiding my hair on Sunday nights, her fingers working through my coils with coconut oil. You got a brain like a razor, baby girl. You use it to cut your way out of here. Don't let nobody dull your shine. So I did. Howard for undergrad, HU, you know, then Georgetown Law, top of my class. I didn't just want to be a lawyer. I wanted to be a shark. Corporate mergers, acquisitions, international trade law, the kind of law where you walk into a boardroom full of old white men in gray suits and watch them sweat because they know the black girl in the power suit is smarter than all of them combined. I met Marcus in D.C. Marcus. Ugh, even saying his name leaves a bad taste in my mouth like stale coffee and lies. He was smooth, handsome, light-skinned with the good hair and a smile that could sell ice to an Eskimo. He chased me for 6 months. Flowers at my office, surprise lunches. He charmed my mama, and Lord knows that woman is harder to crack than a bank vault. He's a good man, Tiana. He's ambitious, just like you, she said, a mystery in her eyes. 3 years later, my firm offered me a transfer. Seoul, South Korea. Head of the International Mergers Division, a massive pay bump, a penthouse allowance, and Gangnam. I was terrified. I don't speak Korean. I don't know anybody in Asia. I'm a Baltimore girl. I like my crab cakes and my Old Bay, not kimchi and soju. But Marcus, he was thrilled. Baby, this is our chance, he said, eyes lighting up like I just handed him a winning lottery ticket. I can consult anywhere. Asian markets are booming. Let's do it. Let's take over the world. And then there was Kendra. Kendra Banks. We met freshman year at Howard. We were inseparable. She was the fun one, the wild one. I was the responsible one. She was the one who dragged me to parties. I was the one holding her hair back when she drank too much. When I told her about Seoul, she cried, actual tears. I can't live without you, T, she wailed, clinging to me. My lease is up anyway. What if I come too? I can teach English. I can model. It'll be an adventure. I should have said no. I should have listened to that little voice in my gut, the Baltimore instinct that said, don't bring sand to the beach. But I loved her. She was my sister in every way but blood. So I said yes. We moved to Seoul 6 months ago. Life was good, or so I thought. Marcus was busy networking, Kendra was busy finding herself, and I was busy working 80-hour weeks to pay for the penthouse we were all living in. Looking back, the signs were there. The late nights Marcus claimed were client dinners, the way Kendra stopped asking me to hang out on weekends, the way they both got quiet when I walked into a room, sharing little looks I couldn't decipher. But I was blind, I was in love, and I was stupid. The night of my 29th birthday started perfectly. I had bought myself a dress, custom made by a local designer in Hongdae, silk, red, not just blood red, the kind of red that signals danger. It hugged every curve, dipped low in the back and made my skin glow like polished mahogany. I looked in the mirror, adjusted my curls and whispered, "Damn, Tiana, you did that." Marcus walked in while I was putting on my diamond stud earrings. He stopped in the doorway. "Wow," he said. "You like?" I twirled, the silk swishing around my legs. "You look expensive," he smiled. He walked over and kissed my neck, but it felt off, distant, like he was kissing a mannequin. His lips were cold. "Ready for dinner?" he asked, checking his watch. "Kendra's meeting us there." "Yeah," I said, grabbing my gold clutch. "Let's go." We took a cab to Gangnam. If you've never been to Gangnam, imagine Beverly Hills, but with more neon lights, better skin care, and more plastic surgery. It smells like money and exhaust. The restaurant was called L'Amour, French, pretentious, the kind of place where the menu doesn't have prices, because if you have to ask, you can't afford it. We walked in. The host, a tall Korean man in a tuxedo, bowed low. "Mr. Robinson, your table is ready." We walked through the dining room, crystal chandeliers the size of small cars, velvet chairs, a pianist playing Debussy in the corner. It was romantic. It was perfect. And there was Kendra, sitting at our table. She was wearing white. White. Who wears a white lace dress to someone else's birthday dinner? She stood up and hugged me. "Happy birthday, T." "Thanks, girl," I said, eyeing the dress. "You look bridal." She giggled, a high, nervous sound that grated on my nerves. "Oh, stop. It's just a summer dress. It's humid out." We sat down. We ordered champagne, Dom Perignon, put on my tab, of course. The vibe was weird. Marcus was chugging his water like he'd just ran a marathon. Kendra kept checking her phone under the table. "So," I said, trying to break the tension, swirling my glass. "Big night." "Huge," Marcus said. He wiped a bead of sweat from his forehead. "Tiana," he started, his voice cracking slightly. "I know things have been crazy since we moved here, but I wanted tonight to be special." My heart skipped a beat. Here we go, I thought. This is it, the proposal. I put on my best smile. I rested my chin on my hand. "Go on," I said softly, my eyes softening. He reached into his jacket. He pulled out a black velvet box. My breath hitched. The world narrowed down to that box. He stood up. The restaurant went silent. The pianist actually stopped playing. Other diners turned to watch. Marcus cleared his throat. He looked at me. Then he turned his body 45 degrees to the left, towards Kendra. I frowned. What is he doing? Is he asking her to hold the box? Is this a prank? He dropped to no knee, in front of Kendra. Kendra gasped. She threw her hands over her mouth, eyes wide with mock surprise. "Kendra,"
Marcus said, his voice shaking with emotion I hadn't seen in years. You are the light of my life. You understand me in a way no one else ever has. Since we came to Seoul, you've shown me what real passion is. I can't imagine another day without you. Will you marry me? Time didn't just stop, it shattered. I sat there, frozen. My brain couldn't process the data. Marcus, Kendra, knee, ring, marry. It didn't compute. It was like trying to divide by zero. The waiter arrived with the cake, a chocolate ganache cake with "Happy Birthday, Tiana" written in gold script. He set it down in front of me, smiling, oblivious to the homicide about to take place in my soul. Kendra was crying. Yes, oh my God, yes. She leaned down and kissed him. My boyfriend, the man I slept next to last night, kissing my best friend, the woman I shared a dorm room with. While the restaurant applauded, while strangers took photos, I looked at the ring. It was a pear-shaped diamond with a halo setting. I knew that ring. I had saved it to my Pinterest board called Future Mrs. Robinson 2 years ago. He bought my dream ring for her, using money he probably borrowed from me. Slowly, the applause died down. People started to notice the woman in the red dress, sitting like a statue, staring at the happy couple with eyes dead as a shark's. Marcus stood up. He hugged Kendra. Then he looked at me. Tiana, he said. He actually had the audacity to look annoyed, like I was the inconvenience. Don't make a scene, he whispered. A scene? I whispered back. My voice sounded like it was coming from underwater. We didn't want to tell you this way, Kendra said, wiping a tear. She reached for my hand across the table. I snatched my hand back like she was on fire. Don't touch me. T, please, Kendra pleaded, putting on her best victim face. It just happened. We fell in love. We didn't plan it, but true love, you can't fight it. True love, I said, standing up. My chair scraped loudly against the marble floor. The restaurant went dead silent. You've been sleeping with him. Tiana, please, Marcus hissed, looking around at the staring diners. Sit down. How long? I asked. It doesn't matter, Marcus said, straightening his jacket. How long? I screamed. The Baltimore came out. The Georgetown polish vanished. The sound bounced off the vaulted ceiling. 6 months, Kendra yelled back, defensive now. Since we moved here, okay? Are you happy? 6 months since we got here, while I was working, while I was paying the rent, while I was building our life. They were playing house in my bed. They were laughing at me. I looked at Marcus. I paid for your flight here. I paid for the suit you're wearing. I paid for this damn dinner. I'll pay you back, Marcus muttered, looking at his shoes. You can't pay me back, I laughed, a crazy broken sound. You can't pay back 3 years of my life. You can't pay back my trust. I looked at the cake. Beautiful, chocolate, melty. The candle flickered, mocking me. Well, I said, looking Kendra dead in the eye, since it's my birthday, I guess I get a wish. Tiana, don't, Marcus warned, stepping forward. I picked up the cake, the whole thing, no plate, just hands in the ganache. It was cold and slimy. I wish, I said, my voice dropping to a lethal whisper, that you two rot in hell. I smashed the cake right into Kendra's face. Chocolate exploded. It got on her white lace dress. It got on Marcus's suit. It got in her hair. She screamed, a high-pitched shriek. My dress, you bitch! Marcus grabbed my arm. Are you crazy? I slapped him, hard, with my cake-covered hand. Smack. That's for the ring, I said, and for wasting my good years. I grabbed my clutch. I stepped over Kendra, who was wiping frosting out of her eyes and sobbing about dry cleaning.
Happy engagement, I said, and I walked out, head high, shoulders back, tears streaming down my face, heart in a million pieces. Of course it was raining, because God loves a cliche, or maybe the sky was just crying for me because I couldn't breathe enough to do it myself. I walked out of Allure and the sky opened up. I didn't have an umbrella. I didn't care. I walked down the street in my red dress, drenched, shivering, chocolate under my fingernails. My hair, my silk press that took 2 hours, was reverting to curls in seconds, makeup running down my face. People stared. I must have looked like a horror movie extra or a mad woman. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I couldn't go home. Home was the penthouse. Home was then. I walked for what felt like hours. I crossed the bridge over the Hind River, watching the dark water swirl below. I thought about jumping, just for a second. Then I thought, hell no, Tiana Johnson does not jump. Tiana Johnson gets even. My phone was blowing up in my purse. Marcus, 12 missed calls. Kendra, text, you are psycho. I'm suing you for the dress. Mama, text, happy birthday, baby. Did he ask? Send pics. I felt a sob choke me when I saw Mama's text. She loved Marcus. She thought he was the one. How was I going to tell her I was a fool? I deleted the thread. I turned off the phone. I found myself in Idawine. Idawine is the party district, neon lights reflecting on the wet pavement, bars, soldiers, expats, chaos. It fit my mood. I saw a sign, the Velvet Lounge, dark windows, jazz music spilling out into the street, no cover charge. Perfect. I pushed the heavy wooden door open and walked in. The bar was dim, red velvet booths, smoke in the air, thick and sweet. It smelled like whiskey, expensive cologne, and bad decisions. I walked to the bar. I wiped the rain off my face with the back of my hand. The bartender was a young Korean guy with bleached hair and a lip ring. He looked at me, wet dress, smeared makeup, chocolate stains, and didn't blink. He'd probably seen worse. Vodka, I said. Double, neat, the cheap stuff. I wanted to burn. He poured it. I drank it in one swallow. It burned. Good. Another. I turned around to look at the room, leaning back against the bar, and that's when I saw him. He was sitting in the corner booth, alone. Shadows clung to him like they were old friends. He was beautiful, but in a terrifying way. Korean, maybe 30, sharp jawline that could cut glass, hair styled perfectly, jet black, slightly messy from the humidity. He was wearing a black suit, no tie, top button undone, revealing a hint of chest, and on his hand, resting on the table, tattoos, dark ink swirling over his knuckles. A dragon? A snake? I couldn't tell in the dim light, but it was his eyes that caught me. Amber. Not brown, not black. Amber. Like a tiger's, like honey held up to a flame. He was watching me. Most men look away when you catch 'em staring. They get shy or they get creepy. He didn't. He took a sip of his drink, his eyes locked on mine, unblinking, unapologetic. He looked dangerous. He looked like trouble. He looked exactly like what I needed to forget Marcus Robinson existed. The alcohol hit my bloodstream. The rage in my chest flared up, mixing with the vodka. Marcus thinks I'm trash? Kendra thinks she won? Watch this. A reckless idea formed in my head, a Baltimore idea. I stood up. I smoothed down my wet dress. I fluffed my damp curls. I walked across the room. My heels clicked on the wooden floor. Click, click, click. I stopped at his table. He looked up. He didn't smile. He just raised an eyebrow. "Can I help you?" he asked. His voice was deep,
gravelly, like stones grinding together. His English was perfect, but with an accent I couldn't place, something cultivated, expensive. I need a favor, I said. My voice was husky, bold. I am not in the business of favors, he said calmly, turning his glass. My ex-boyfriend just proposed to my best friend at my birthday dinner, I blurted, and I need to kiss someone to prove I don't care. I need to erase him. He paused. He looked at my wet dress. He looked at the chocolate smudge on my arm. He looked at the fire in my eyes. A slow, lazy smirk spread across his face. It transformed him from scary to devastating. And you chose me. You're the best-looking man in here, I said, shrugging, and you look like you don't give a damn about consequences. He laughed, a low, dark sound that vibrated in my chest. You have no idea who I am, do you, American? I don't care who you are, I said, leaning over the table, hands planted. I just need 5 seconds. Are you scared? He put down his glass. He leaned back in the booth, spreading his legs slightly in a display of pure dominance. Come here, then. I didn't hesitate. I slid into the booth. I grabbed his lapels. The silk of his suit felt expensive, custom Italian. I pulled him toward me, and I kissed him. I expected it to be awkward. I expected a peck. It wasn't. It was an explosion. His lips were warm, firm, tasting of scotch and danger. He didn't pull away. He kissed me back. His hand came up and gripped the back of my neck. His fingers were strong, possessive. He pulled me closer, pressing my body against his hard chest. The smell of him filled my senses. Sandalwood, rain, gunpowder? No, that couldn't be right. My brain short-circuited. I forgot about Marcus. I forgot about Kendra. I forgot my own name. There was just him. The heat of his mouth, the roughness of his stubble against my cheek, the way his other hand rested on my waist, thumb stroking the silk of my dress. It went on for 5 seconds, 10, 20. I made a sound, a soft moan in the back of my throat. He growled in response, deepening the kiss, claiming me right there in the booth. I finally pulled back, gasping for air. My lips were swollen. My heart was hammering a hole in my ribs. We stared at each other. My lips were tingling. His eyes were dilated. The amber was dark now, blown wide with lust. "Happy birthday," he whispered, his thumb tracing my lower lip. I laughed nervously. "Thank you." "What is your name?" he asked. "Tiana." "Tiana." He tested the word, rolling the vowels. "I am Min-ho." "Min-ho," I said. "Well, Min-ho, thanks for the rebound." I started to slide out of the booth. I should go. "Sit down," he said. It wasn't a request. It was an order. I froze. "Excuse me?" "Sit down, Tiana. You cannot leave." "Why? Did I break a rule? Look, dude, it was just a kiss." He didn't look at me. He looked toward the window. "Look outside," he said quietly. I looked. Across the street, through the rain-streaked window, 3 black SUVs were parked. Men in suits were standing by the doors. They were looking at the bar. Red laser dots appeared on the glass. 1, 2, 3, right on Min-ho's chest. "Who are they?" I asked, my voice trembling. "My friends," he said dryly, "and they are waiting for me to come out so they can kill me." Before I could process what he said, the front window of the bar exploded inward. "Get down." Min-ho moved faster than any human I've ever seen. He grabbed me and threw me to the floor of the booth. He covered my body with his. Bullets tore through the velvet seats where our heads had been a second ago. Bottles behind the bar shattered, raining glass and liquor. The bartender ducked behind the counter. People screamed and scrambled for the exit. Min-ho reached into his jacket. He didn't pull out a wallet. He pulled out a gun, a sleek silver handgun that looked heavy. He looked at me. He wasn't scared. He looked bored, focused. "Stay down," he said. He popped up over the booth. 2 shots. Bang, bang. I heard 2 bodies hit the floor near the door. He looked back down at me. I was shaking, crying, chocolate and rain and terror mixing on my face. "Who are you?" I screamed. He smirked, that same deadly smirk. "I told you, I am Min-ho, Kang Min-ho. And what do you do?" "I run this city. I am the head of the Shadow Dragon Syndicate." He reloaded the clip with a fluid motion, click-clack. "And you, Tiana, you just became my date." He grabbed my hand. "Run." He pulled me up. We ran toward the back exit, dodging debris. Gunfire erupted behind us. Wood splintered next to my ear. A black Mercedes Maybach pulled up, screeching to a halt. The back door flew open. "Get in." He shoved me inside. He jumped in after me. "Go," he yelled to the driver in Korean. "Pali, pali." The cop peeled out, tires smoking on the wet asphalt. I sat there, breathing hard, my red dress ruined, my life in shambles. I looked at the man next to me, the man I had just kissed, the man holding a smoking gun. He looked at me. He wiped a smudge of chocolate off my cheek with his thumb. "Welcome to my world, Tiana," he whispered.
You know that feeling when you wake up from a nightmare, sweating, heart racing, and for a split second you think, thank God it was just a dream? Yeah, I didn't get that. I was sitting in the back of a Mercedes Maybach speeding down the Han River Highway at 100 miles an hour. My custom red birthday dress, the one I felt like a queen in 2 hours ago, was ruined, stained with chocolate, soaked with rain, and smelling like top-shelf vodka. My hair was shrinking by the second. And sitting next to me was a man reloading a semi-automatic weapon like he was checking his emails. "You kidnapped me," I gasped, pressing my back against the cool leather of the door, trying to put as much distance between us as possible. Min-ho didn't look up. He slid the magazine home with a sharp metallic sound. Click. "I saved you, Tiana. There is a difference." "Save me? From who? Your friends back there?" "From the Park Syndicate," he said calmly, finally looking at me. "They saw you kiss me. They saw you shield me. In their eyes, that makes you an associate. If I had left you on that sidewalk, you would be dead before your next birthday." He leaned forward, the street lights flickering across his face, lighting up those amber eyes. They weren't manic. They were calculated. "You asked for a favor," he said, his voice low and vibrating in the quiet cabin. "You wanted to make your ex jealous. Congratulations, Tiana. You are now the girlfriend of the most hated man in Seoul." I laughed, a hysterical, crazy sound that bubbled up from my chest. "Girlfriend? Look, Mr. Mafia. Min-ho. Min-ho, listen to me. I am a corporate lawyer. I specialize in international mergers, not gang wars. I have a 9 a.m. meeting tomorrow with Samsung. I cannot be involved in a syndicate beef because I kissed a stranger." "You are already involved," he said, reaching into the seat pocket. He pulled out a tablet. He tapped the screen a few times, the blue light illuminating his sharp cheekbones, and handed it to me. I looked. It was a dossier. Photos, financial records, emails, and right there at the top of the page was a face I knew better than my own. Marcus. "What is this?" I whispered, my finger hovering over the screen. "Your ex-boyfriend," Min-ho said, leaning back. "Marcus Robinson. He is not just a financial consultant, Tiana. He is a money launderer." My stomach dropped. "What?" "He works for Park Jin-young, the man who tried to kill me tonight, the man who ordered the hit on my father 7 years ago." Min-ho reached over and scrolled down the page. He pointed to a highlighted figure. $2 million USD. $2 million, Min-ho said. "That is how much Marcus embezzled from your firm's accounts to fund the park's expansion into the weapons trade." I stared at the screen, the numbers blurred. The late nights, the client dinners, the nervousness whenever I touched his laptop.
He wasn't just cheating on me with Kendra. He was using my access codes. He was using my reputation as a shield. He set me up, I whispered. Tears burned my eyes, but they weren't the sad, heartbroken tears from the restaurant. These were hot. These were angry. If he gets caught, the trail leads to me. Exactly, Min-ho said. He played you, Tiana. He needed a fall guy, or in this case, a fall girl. Min-ho took the tablet back. His hand brushed mine, warm, solid, rough calluses against my smooth skin. He made a mistake, Min-ho said darkly. He underestimated you, and he underestimated me. The car stopped. Welcome home, Tiana. I looked out the window. I expected a warehouse, or a bunker, or some shady apartment block. I didn't expect a palace. We were high in the mountains overlooking the city, a massive traditional Hanok estate, but modernized, curved tiled roofs silhouetted against the moon, heavy wooden beams glowing, soft orange in the rain. But then I saw the men, guards, everywhere, wearing earpieces and suits, holding rifles that looked very illegal. Temporary, Min-ho said, opening the door for me. We walked inside. The floors were marble, heated from beneath. The walls were lined with ancient art, scrolls, vases, things that probably cost more than my student loans. It smelled like cedar and power. A woman walked into the foyer. She was older, elegant, wearing silk hanbok in deep emerald green. Her hair was pulled back so tight it looked painful, not a strand out of place. This was Soo-jin, the matriarch. She looked at Min-ho, then she looked at me, barefoot, holding my heels, dress stained with chocolate and rain, hair wild. Her lip curled. Min-ho, she said in Korean, but I caught the tone. It was the universal tone of a mother who thinks no woman is good enough. Then she switched to English. Is this the one, the American? Mother, Min-ho warned, his voice tight. She looks like trouble, Soo-jin sniffed, stepping closer. Another gold digger looking for a payout, or perhaps a spy. The Baltimore in me snapped. I dropped my heels on the floor. Thud. I straightened my spine. I wiped the smeared mascara from under my eye. I walked right up to this woman until I was towering over her. Excuse me, I said. My voice was calm, but it had that edge, that don't try me edge. I bill $800 an hour at one of the top law firms in the world. I have a 401k, a penthouse in Gangnam, and a diversified portfolio. I don't need your son's money. I need a shower, a lawyer, and a stiff drink. So unless you have a warrant, don't talk to me about payouts. Silence. Total silence. Then from the staircase, a laugh. Min-ho's brother, Juno, was leaning against the rail and grinning. I like her. She bites. Soo-jin narrowed her eyes. She looked me up and down, assessing me like I was a piece of furniture she didn't order. Dinner is in 10 minutes, she said coldly. Do not be late. She turned and walked away, her silk skirts swishing. Min-ho looked at me. There was a spark in his eye. Maybe amusement, maybe even respect. $800 an hour? He asked. Plus expenses, I snapped. He smirked. Go shower. I will send clothes.
Dinner was tense. Soo-jin watched me eat like she was waiting for me to use the wrong fork. Juno asked me questions about American hip-hop. Min-ho just ate in silence, watching everything. But afterwards, Min-ho took me to his study. It was a masculine room. Leather books, dark wood, a view of the city lights below. He poured 2 glasses of whiskey. He handed me one. We have a problem, he said. We? I took a sip. The video. He turned his laptop around. There it was, a cell phone video from the bar, me grabbing him, the kiss, the gunshots. It had 2 million views. #Mafia kiss was trending on X. My face is everywhere, I groaned, burying my face in my hands. My firm is going to fire me. My mother is going to have a stroke. Or, Min-ho said, sitting on the edge of his desk, crossing his ankles, we use it. Use it how? I asked, taking a sip. The parks are moving on my territory because they think I am weak. They think I am distracted by internal conflicts. They think I am lonely. He leaned forward, the firelight catching the sharp angles of his face.
We give them a show. We pretend this us is real, a whirlwind romance, an engagement. You want me to fake date a mob boss? I stared at him. You want me to be a prop? 6 months, he said. You play the fiancée. You attend the galas. You distract the public and the parks. And what do I get? I asked, putting the glass down, besides a target on my back. Protection, he said. The parks will not touch the future wife of the dragon. And access. He paused, letting the words hang in the air. You are a lawyer, Tiana. You know financial law better than anyone on my payroll. You help me find the paper trail Marcus left. You help me destroy him legally, and I will destroy him physically. Revenge. Legal, systematic destruction of the man who humiliated me, the man who stole my money and my pride. I looked at Min-ho. The amber eyes were waiting. 6 months? I asked. 6 months. And then I walk away? Then you walk away, debt paid, reputation restored. I picked up the whiskey. I swirled the amber liquid. I thought about Kendra's smug face. I thought about Marcus on one knee. Deal, I said. If I was going to be a mob wife, I had to look the part. But if I was going to survive, I had to act the part. The next few weeks were a blur of transformation. Min-ho didn't just buy me dresses. He took me to the basement dojang. Hit me, he said, standing on the mat in a tank top that showed off every inch of muscle and ink. I don't want to hit you. Hit me. I threw a punch. He blocked it easily, twisting my arm behind my back, pressing me against the mat. Dead, he whispered in my ear. You hesitated. Hesitation gets you killed. I shivered. Again. We spent hours down there. Sweat, bruises, adrenaline. He taught me how to disarm a man with a pen, how to hold a gun without shaking. Don't anticipate, he'd say, his hands on my hips, correcting my stance at the rating range. React, breathe. His touch, it was professional, but it burned. Every time his chest brushed my back, every time his hand lingered on my waist a second too long to adjust my aim, the air got thin. I told myself it was just the adrenaline. I told myself I hated him. I was lying. It was a Tuesday, 3 weeks in. I was in my room, well, the guest suite that was bigger than my old apartment, going over Marcus's financial records. My phone rang. Unknown number. I picked up. Hello? You think you're clever, don't you? Marcus. His voice wasn't smooth anymore. It was jagged, slurring, drunk. Marcus, I said, my voice ice cold. You surprised you have time to call between laundering money and planning a wedding? You shut up, he screamed. You think you're safe with him? You think Kang Min-ho cares about you? You're a prop, Tiana, just like you were with me. I was real with you, Marcus, I yelled. I gave you everything. Real? Please. You were a placeholder, boring, work-obsessed, always talking about your career. That's why I went to Kendra. She knows how to make a man feel like a man. I gripped the phone tight enough to crack the screen. And hey, he laughed, a cruel, ugly sound that made my skin crawl. Does he know, does the dragon know your new girlfriend is damaged goods? My breath hitched. Does he know about the baby, Tiana? The one you couldn't keep? The one you flushed away? The room spun. The miscarriage 2 years ago. I wanted that baby. I wanted a family more than anything. When I lost it, Marcus didn't even come to the hospital. He said he had a meeting. He said, it happens. He used it against me. Damaged goods. I hung up. I couldn't breathe. I curled into a ball on the floor. The tears came hot and fast. Not the angry tears from before. These were the old tears, the deep ones. I felt small. I felt broken. Tiana? I didn't look up. I couldn't let him see me like this, weak. Go away, I choked out. Min-ho didn't go away. He sat on the floor next to me. He didn't touch me. He just sat there, his presence a heavy, warm anchor in the storm. Marcus called, he stated. It wasn't a question. He tapped my phone. He said, I couldn't finish.
He is a small man, Min-ho said softly, with a small soul. He reached out and took my hand. His dragon tattoo brushed my skin. My father died in my arms, he whispered, 7 years ago. I watched the light leave his eyes. I thought I was broken. I thought I was damaged. I looked up at him. His amber eyes were soft, vulnerable. He was sharing his ghost to silence mine. You are not damaged, Tiana, he said. You are forged like steel. The fire does not break you. It makes you sharper. He reached up and wiped a tear from my cheek with his thumb. The air changed. It wasn't professional anymore. It wasn't fake. I leaned into his hand. Min-ho, I whispered. Tell me to stop, he murmured, leaning closer. His gaze dropped on my lips. Tell me to leave, Tiana, because if I kiss you now, the deal is over. It becomes real. I looked at this dangerous, beautiful man, the man who shielded me from bullets, the man who sat on the floor with me while I cried over a past he didn't break. I thought about Marcus. I thought about the fake engagement. I thought about the lonely nights in the penthouse. Screw the deal, I breathed. I gripped his shirt. I pulled him down. And when our lips met this time, it wasn't for the cameras. It wasn't for revenge. It was war. It was fire. And I was ready to burn.